And we are live. Alive. Once I get her situated. There we go. Son of a bitch. That was goofy. Having a little difficulty with the camera mount. That's okay. That's okay. Hello once again, and welcome once again to the Prince Magnum channel where hot rodding and romance do coexist. I'm your host, Prince Magnum. Welcome once again to Do It Yourself Budget Hot Rodding. And we're going to dive into talking more about doing, performance not included. Technically, this should fall under, the whole category of, does it daily? But this is also a performance enhancement. So let's just stick with that. First and foremost, let's get a couple things out of the way. What you see before you is an Excel Supercoil. Now, the Excel Supercoil, Excel is a company that I have trusted for years for my aftermarket performance coils, whether it's an HEI distributor or a coil like this for Project Spirit, which this is exactly what it is. Now, some of you might be saying, well, Prince Magnum, you've been running the stock setup for quite some time. It's working just fine. It's pretty fuel efficient. Why don't you run that? And folks, we're talking about a 1975 Ford Maverick. The 1975 Ford Maverick, even in 302, was an absolute joke. Let me explain. If I remember my numbers correctly, the 302 in the Maverick in 1975 was pumping out, I think, 125 horses at the rear wheels. The inline 250 that's in Project Spirit, 85. Not a big, there's not a whole, it's one of those things. So I've got the inline 250. We need to get more performance out of it. We need to get better gas mileage. As a matter of fact, if you go back in time to when, when I did the video, Project Spirit versus the Toyota Prius Part 2 or the rematch. The Toyota Prius at that time was estimated at 51 miles to the gallon on the highway, which is pretty dang good. Not too many cars out there can get that kind of gas mileage. That being said, we were able to prove that Project Spirit, on a good day, could conceivably get all the way up to 64 miles to the gallon on the highway. The conditions have to be right, but she was still averaging out 40, not half bad, okay? And for the record, when we talk, gas mileage, even in today's standards, when they give an estimated gas mileage for the highway, that's in ideal conditions. We're talking it's clear weather, it's on a test track, all the, even the, even the planets are perfectly aligned. We're talking, they're ideal conditions. That's why they say estimated MPG. And most of you out there are not going to drive it at the recommended speed limit. So because of this situation, you're not going to get the best bang for your buck. And I know what the computer is going to tell you, but that's not the actual gas mileage. Okay? It's just not going to happen that way. It's not possible, okay? That's not to say that you couldn't get the ideal conditions that they had on the test track going down the highway and all that. It's not saying that that's not possible. What I am saying is not possible is that you're going to get these conditions every time. So that's why it's an estimated EPA gas mileage in town and on the highway, okay? So that being said, on the highway, Spirit right now averages 32. With the old performance coil, we were getting about 40. So that's quite a big jump. And I had to not hang my leg in it, which is sometimes hard because that car's fun to play in. Okay, now all that being said, in a nutshell, that's what this is going to be for. Now, I could have gotten the chrome one because we do the car shows and everything, but honestly and truthfully, this one was cheaper, and at a later date, I can get a sleeve, you know, a chrome sleeve that slides over this thing and mount, you know, and a chrome piece that mounts it to the engine or wherever I want, which we're going to get to that. Right now, this is just kind of the pre-fit stuff, okay? This is kind of pre-fit sort of thing, and if you'll excuse me, I'm going to grab part of my kit, okay? Now, when you go, obviously when you go to set yourself up, you know, with a performance coil for your project, you're going to need some tools and you're going to need the pieces to put it in. Now, MSD does offer a complete kit to help you wire in this bad boy, okay? And a lot of people prefer the MSD Blaster 2 ignition coil for your Fords, and believe it or not, they do make great HEI distributor coils. They even make an adapter piece that goes in the top of your HEI distributor, and you can still run one of these. Easy to change, okay? Very easy to change. I myself, I do not, you know, I have a Ford. I don't have an HEI distributor like on a Chevy. Mopar guys, I don't know enough about it. I'm sorry, okay? If you guys know more about it, tell me about it. Get in touch with me through my email, princemagnum1@gmail.com. And leave me, maybe you might be interested in giving me some tips, Mopar guys. Explain to me how, you know, how this might work on your 70s hot rod, okay? Remember, the reason why we're doing this is because Project Spirit's engine is anemic. She needs more performance. And the only way you're going to get that is to burn every last drop of fuel you possibly can. Now, again, this is just a pre-fit, okay? We're just getting ready, okay? Now, first things first, what you're going to need, obviously, you need a coil. Again, Excel is the company that I trust, okay? Now, I'm not saying that that's the one you have to go with. You could go with the MSD. I know Jegs offers a Jegs brand coil, and it might be through MSD. It could be through Excel. Who knows who it's from? You might have to ask the sales rep, but they would be ones to talk to. I know Summit Racing offers aftermarket performance ignition coils. Definitely, you know, you might want to check them out while you're at it. If you have any extra cash, you might even help support their cause to prevent Congress from taking our hot rods away. They're trying to get all the classics off the road, and they're trying to stop us from modifying our cars, which is that'll just absolutely destroy the aftermarket. No more drag racing, no more nothing, no fun. You guys suck, okay? Keep your dang nose out of my performance, okay? Just because you guys can't drive doesn't mean that, you know, we can, all right? Where was I? Oh, yes. You know, just find a coil, you know, an aftermarket coil that you like. And this will work on a stock engine. And if you go with a stock rebuild, definitely you should consider this. And if you're going to race this bad boy, you definitely need all the help you can get. So please do me a favor. Do me, Prince Magnum, a favor. If you're building a racing engine or even a mid, you know, kind of a mid-entry engine, or you're modifying, you know, get yourself the right coil to help increase that performance. Remember, gasoline engines, I don't care how new or how old they are, they still require the following things. They require gasoline, they require air, and they require electricity, okay? If anything goes wrong with one of those three things, your engine will not run. And I don't care, I love, while we're on that subject real quick, I absolutely love the guys who have the newer vehicles and they're like, oh, you know, they're so much more advanced than the old ones still. Well, does it still take gas? Well, yeah, it does. Does it still require air? Well, yeah, it does. Does it still require electricity? Well, yeah, it does. Then it's not any more advanced than, you know, my old engine, okay? All you did was complicate how all that comes together, okay, for combustion, you know. Real quick, if you have a diesel engine, you can eliminate electricity because it runs strictly on compression. Okay, so if you ever have a problem with one of your old with your old engine, start with start with those three things and just start working the bugs out from there. If you have a new engine, I guess you could plug in a scan tool, but it's just not as much fun to figure it out on your own. Okay, I'm sorry, I'm a masochist. What can I say? Okay, again, now let's now if you already have your coil, for the next thing you're going to need some wire. Okay, unless you're gonna plug it directly, basically you're gonna do some splicing into the wire harness directly. I don't suggest that. If for some reason you run into a problem and your coil gives out on you at any point, and you need to run a stock one, you want to be able to put it back to original at any point if you need to. And if you ever decide to sell the car, you may not want to let your aftermarket parts like this go. You may want it for the next project. And that being said, maybe even the guy who's buying your project may not want all of that performance too. So don't try to keep it as close to original as possible. Okay. The next thing you're going to need is you're going to need some sort of fittings. Now, what I found worked for me is I went over and seen my friends at Deloge AutoZone, and I bought this kit. It was like maybe $8, okay? And it comes with a bunch of connectors and things like that. Now, since I'm doing a direct plug-in for my electrical wiring, basically, this is from an old kit that I used to have, but basically I have these two little prongs, and it'll plug directly in. Well, it'll actually plug in kind of like that. It'll plug in, just click, and then all I got to do is cut and fit the wires to however I want. Okay. The next thing, because this coil doesn't come like an MSD where you basically have, basically they set you up with everything. You have to basically make it yourself, which I'm fine with that because in the long run, this is actually cheaper. Okay. What type of wire am I running? Well, I'm running a 10 gauge, okay? And a 10 gauge is very heavy. It's going to be able to handle all that electricity that's being pumped through there. So I really don't have to worry about it burning up. And if it does, I'm going to keep the stock coil in Project Spirit. So if something like that does happen, I can switch it back. No problem. Easy peasy, okay? You don't get any easier than that. So in case something goes wrong, I have a backup plan. No big deal. But these wires should not give me any problems. I mean, I've done this before. The only thing I had a problem with is, in some instances, the wires, I didn't have these connectors just right, and the wires had a tendency to wiggle out. So I just took a little electrical tape and right across the bottom. Everything was fine again, okay? No big deal. Again, you don't get any easier than that. Now, and since we're on that subject, try to get one in red, and do me a favor while we're at it. Get one in black. This is your negative wire, in this case. Red is positive, black is negative, okay? It works that way for a reason in the electrical world. And the last thing you want to do is go hooking this up wrong. If you're changing one of these or something like that, and you go to hook this up wrong and you fry the system, it's your own fault. So make sure you color code this stuff so you don't have that problem. The last thing you want to do is burn up your project, okay? Or do any harm to, your wiring harness, or throw away about 32 bucks. Now, if you're wondering where I got this particular one, I got this from our friends at Deloge O'Reilly's. Thank you very much, guys. I very much appreciate you guys, making sure you keep something like this on hand. This is a company that I do trust. Okay, I do trust Excel Coils. I've had them. While we're on that subject, I had an Excel HEI performance coil, super coil on a Chevy 283. Phenomenal performance out of it. I had a chrome one on Project Spirit, and now we're putting the yellow one on. And we'll probably be getting the chrome sleeve that slides over this, and then, you know, the piece that, you know, bolts it on there, or we might just reuse the stock. Depends on how I feel that day, okay? It just depends. It's completely up to me. I can decide how I want, and at any time, if I need to switch back to the stock, I will still be able to do that with this setup, okay? So again, if you like this sort of thing, you know, we're well on the way. Now, in a moment, because of the way I'm going to have to do this, I will be sliding over to the side and putting my regular corrective vision glasses on, my spectacles, if you will. I said spectacles, not anyhow. Um, Remember, again, for the purpose of Alcoholics Anonymous and keeping my anonymity, sometimes a difficult word to say, um, out of respect for AA's traditions, uh, on anonymity, staying anonymous at the level of press, radio, and film. Again, that's what the shades are for. So if you ever have that question, now you know. Okay? Uh, so I will be sliding over. Now, some people go out real quick for the tools you're going to need for this. To basically get my start for this, I'm only going to use 2 pliers. Now, some people go out and they buy the expensive crimping tool. I've had those things. I found that they were a pain in the neck. They just don't work. If you can use them, use them. If not, you know, a couple of cheap pairs of pliers will do the job. A pair of wire cutting pliers, or side cutters as I call them, side cutter pliers, and just a regular set of pliers just like this. You don't get any easier than that, folks. And in some instances, you can buy these particular items for about $1 a piece, okay? And that actually is a whole lot cheaper than buying the crimping tool, which I know down here and at a lot of places, it's anywhere from $8 to $10. $2 for these, or $8. And these serve a lot more purposes. And if there's one thing that I absolutely hate, is a toolbox that's so junked up you can't find anything, which I'm going to have to work on the one that's in Project Spirit. Because I don't like my toolboxes so junked up that I can't find anything. That's, to me, working out of a junked up toolbox is about as much fun as waiting for a buffalo to take a dump on my face, okay? That's just the way it is. So, first things first. Now again, I soldered these, and if you can solder, that's even better than crimping. I don't have any solder right now, and we'll probably do a test run sometime, possibly later today. And if we get any, anybody to come on for that one, I might put in a scheduled time when I'm supposed to do this and that sort of thing. And if I can get the camera to operate for me, basically the phone to operate for me, we'll do a test run and see how it does. And we might even bolt it on and go ahead and leave it at that, okay? It's just one of those things. It depends on how this goes from here. And depends on how I'm feeling today, because I got a million other things that Princess Faye wants me to do. Again, I'm going with 10 gauge wire. Use a heavy duty wire, folks, okay? Again, there's going to be a lot of electricity coming through here. Again, also, for my, they provide an adapter piece where you could pull off the coil and it fits on there. Honestly, on my Fords, I found that for my coil wire, all I had to do, honestly, was I basically took I just took the coil wire and reversed it, and it was just fine on the old one. It might be the same way on this one. It might not. We'll give it a try and see. In the worst case scenario, I might have to modify it. I highly doubt it, okay? Most of the time, with a little bit of, playing around and figuring it out, there's no guesswork there. So far, I have had no one pop on. I was hoping that by now I would. Okay, let's get underway. Again, this is my positive, and to show you, to kind of get things started, basically what I did was I, tested which ones were going to fit out of my kit here. I just kind of, did it like that, to kind of get an idea. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to decide how much wire I'm going to need. Now, what I found works for me is basically about that much. I'd rather have too much than not enough. That's just me. Okay, and where it's located, it won't be an issue. And if need be, we can wire loom it out of the way. Okay, so right there, we're gonna go ahead. Actually, I'm gonna go right here. Right here. That looks good, right? And this stuff is very thick. So there we go. Now, whatever you do, don't throw that away, because even if you don't use it, you can melt the coating off, throw it in your scrap pile, and recycle the copper, okay? Or aluminum, depending. Now, this is where some people say you got to have a crimping tool or a special tool. I'm going to show you all how ridiculously, you don't need special crimping tools. That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard of. Steady hands, my friends. What you're going to do is you're going to go as far back as you need to, and you're going to squeeze, and you're just going to kind of go back and forth. You're going to work the rubber, okay? You're going to work that coating, all right? Nothing special. Don't get ahead. Don't rush this process, because if you rush it, you're going to cut it, okay? And that's not what we're looking for. We're not looking to cut, all right? And then once you get so far in, see, right there, just split, see? I don't know how well the camera's going to pick that up. And you reach over and, ta-da, perfectly stripped wire. Who needs expensive tools, right? Okay, that one's done. Because wires have a tendency to kind of flay apart, you know, once you get them stripped like that, kind of rotate them one way or the other and kind of twist them, okay? Now, we're going to set that one aside. Same scenario, okay? And if you're like me and a little OCD on some of this stuff, what you're going to do, you're going to get this as close as you can to the other one, okay? So just kind of hold them together, measure them out, get an idea, right about there, okay? So we're going to go with that. Now, and just like that. There we go. Again, don't throw that away. You might need it. You might not. Don't know. Okay? And again, don't rush it, okay? Take your time. Take your time, all right? I can't believe how well I'm doing this without my regular glasses. See? But again, don't rush it. Take your time. Take your time. All right? And if you do screw it up, you know, again, we put extra on there for that reason alone, okay? Now, at a later date, we will be soldering these on, but for right now, this will be just fine. Okay, now I think that should be deep enough. Should be deep enough. Yeah, there it goes. See? Just like that. Just like that. Unbelievable, huh? Unbelievable. Yeah, maybe a little bit more. Again, don't rush it. Take your time. Okay, and that's what, again, that's one of the nice things about doing your own projects like this. You can take your time. Okay? You can take your time on it. And if this was done at a shop, they'd have to rush it in and out. You know, they would have to be in a hurry because time is money for them. And I don't know, something about doing your own work like this always makes you feel a whole lot better. I don't know. I guess I'm weird like that. Okay. And it should just... Again, don't rush it. Might have to work it a little bit more. Okay? And there you go. No big deal, right? Again, twist it. Twist it. Now, I'm also setting this up because I know I'm going to buy some solder next paycheck, and I'll take these back off and rework them a little bit, okay? Now, first things first, we're going to take this piece off, just like that, okay? There's going to be a couple washers, because basically I sat there and kind of figured out how this is going to go. I'll slide that in, and don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. A lot of people get a little nervous when it comes to crimping, and I've had some luck with it. It took me a lot of practice, and for years I could never get this right. And the reason why I'm also turning it like this, again, I know I'm going to be, you know, I know at a later date, I'm I'm going to be, soldering this. Okay? Get it where you want it. Pliers. $1 set of pliers. You're going to crush this down. Okay? Crush it real good. Right there on the end. Squeeze. And squeeze. Okay? And that, my friends, pretty well does it. This should not go anywhere. It might wiggle a little bit. But again, once you put a little solder on the end right there, just dab to hold it in place, you'll be just fine. No big deal. Okay? And if you're really that worried about it, just put a little electrical tape on the end. It'll be fine. Okay? Just like that. Unbelievable. And to kind of prove my point, we can now put it right like that. I'm assuming I don't have my glasses on. Oh, that's positive. Should be the other way around. We'll worry about that in a second. All right, where's my, there it is. And take this piece, again, right back to the same thing. Again, I know that I'm gonna be, kind of soldering this at a later date. And whatever you do, don't lose these little washers or the little nuts on it, because it is so much of a pain in the ass to get those. You'll have to go back to the auto parts place and then skip it. Okay? Just skip it. Anyhow. We've got our cut wire, so we're going to slide it on. Okay? Again, I'm going to turn it where you want it. And again, at a later date, we don't want that much exposed on the end. And if you make a mistake like that, it's not like you're deep into the project yet. You're not committed. Once you crimp, you're committed, okay? If you start crimping, you're pretty well committed to that the way it's going on there. Don't want to lose that. They didn't give me too many of these. Okay. And I can even put it like that. Be just fine. A little dab right there. Hold it in place. No problems. Again, $1 set of pliers. Okay? And you can get bigger pliers and do the job just fine. Okay? Just like that. And this wire will not go anywhere now. There we go. And then it'll go on right like that. And get your flat washer. Put that on. Locking washer. And then your nut. Biggest problem with Project Spirit is loosen up behind the wheel. All right. And right back to this one. And flat washer. Locking washer. There you go. Just like that. Like butter. Okay? Why people make stuff like this so doggone complicated, beyond me. Okay? And again, you can position this however you want. Now, if I'm looking at Project Spirit's engine, pretty well go in right like that. That's it. And if one way it goes the other, it won't matter because I made the wires long enough. And with a couple of little, zip ties, I can wrap them, hold them in place. They're not going anywhere. They're not bothering nobody. And with a set of pliers, just like this, I can easily tighten down the little nuts on there. No problem, okay? This will, we will do this at a later date. We'll finish this up. But basically, this is just getting yourself set up, okay? Sometimes, taking the time and pre-fitting and working on a lot of this. And the other reason why I also made these wires longer is if I want to mount it elsewhere in the engine bay. That also doesn't mean that I can't, make longer wires and mount it wherever I want, okay? As long as the coil wire to my distributor will reach. So we should be okay with that whole revelation. Again, folks, doing something this simple to an old carbureted engine, you'd be amazed. I mean, again, if you all want to go back in time, the video where Project Spirit was up against that new Camaro, I'm betting it was about a 2012, 2013 Camaro. Some of you out there would know more by looking at the video, but when I outran that Camaro, I had an Excel Super Coil. Okay, so believe it or not, that anemic engine can do amazing stuff if you're willing to put the time and effort into it. Again, that's performance not included. You have to take the time and do it yourself. Okay? And I don't know how many times I have to tell a lot of you guys, uh, that's what it's all about. Do it yourself, budget hot rodding. Get your butt up off the dang, get your butt up. Go do something with yourself. Hot rodding just doesn't happen, okay? You have to do it, all right? Um, Again, I want to thank our friends over there at Deloge, at Deloge O'Reilly's for setting us up with this. I had to buy it, but they still made sure that the parts that I would want was on the shelf. Okay. Um, Also, the wiring stuff came from our good friends over there at Deloge AutoZone and Farmington AutoZone. So I want to take time out to thank them for making sure that everything that I would need for my wiring needs, you know, they kept it on their shelf. I want to thank them for that. Um, the tools, you can get them at either place. Pretty cheap, I might add. Again, bought these for like $1 or something like that. I mean, it was ridiculously cheap, and they do more than just my wiring, okay? Um, just simple stuff. Again, this is just something simple that any of us can do. Now, before I begin rambling, again, if you are, if you're a member of the Maverick Nation or a passerby, if you log onto my Patreon account and you basically donate, whoever donates the most money between Monday the 6th, as I'm making this video, and August the 7th, whoever donates the most money will get a special care package from me, Prince Magnum. I've already started that package. Basically, it's from everything that we collect between car shows and working on the cars and things like that. It might even be some stuff that you guys didn't even know that I had laying around. Who knows what may be in this special package? I will say that I already have some pretty cool stickers already. Some Summit Racing stickers, if, for those who like Summit. Give it to your kids. Let them put it on their folders, take it into school, whatever. I don't care. Do whatever you want with them. They're completely yours, but they're already in the package. We're looking at a few other things. Who knows? Who knows what might be in there? I know it just depends on what I can pick up, okay, between now and August the 7th. I might even throw in something that was even used in a video that maybe no one's seen in a long time. So who knows? Who knows? All right. That brings us to the usual spot. If you are not subscribed to the Prince Magnum channel, I don't know why you're not, okay? I do not know why you are not. You're gonna hit that subscribe button. If you are, if you're real savvy, you're gonna hit the bell icon. You'll be notified every time we upload a brand new video. Also, while we're on that subject, if you got any positive feedback, especially from our Mopar boys, because I really don't know enough about the Mopar engines to know how the performance coils go and that sort of thing. I don't know enough about it, so if you guys would, leave a comment in the box below, maybe even get in touch with me through my email at princemagnum1@gmail.com, and what we will do is I might even have a phone conversation with you. Who knows? Who knows? So if you know more about the old school Mopar engines and how to set up how the ignition systems work with electronic ignition, I want your input. I want to know some things. Okay. Any hate will either be deleted or I'm probably going to bust your chops, okay? You just never know. I'm Prince Magnum, and I kind of do what I feel. That's just the way it is. As part of being the Dark Prince, I do whatever I want. Also, um, the usual spot. Get out there and work on a project. Just do something with yourself. Idle hands and a creative mind. Just do not make good bedfellows, okay? Stop living a pipe dream, if you will. If you have a sweetheart, then sweep them off their feet. Do something special for them today. Take them for a ride in your project car. Something to be said still about cruising, or maybe cook them a fancy meal. Got some videos about that coming up soon, too. Also, if no one out there has told any of you that they love you today, Prince Magnum does. God bless you and have a happy 24. Thank you.